When the lounges first started, it was part of the first or business class package. But 80% of the aircraft is the economy class. And there was a great moment for the entrepreneur to identify a sustainable business. And he came up with the first independent lounge concept, which is basically open for everyone.
Today's guest is Bora Isbulan, Deputy CEO of Plaza Premium Group, who now drives PPG's expansion to over 500 lounges worldwide with digital innovation.
Bora, you're one of the best networked gentlemen I know. Have you always been into this field?
My first profession was basically manufacturing. 16 years back, TAV Airport CEO called me and he said, please take the first flight. And when I heard all these really enthusiastic plans, then I said, okay, let me take a break from my textile career and move to airport and aviation.
The credit cards have had a massive part to play, but the lounges have become a victim of their own success. You know, there's overcrowding.
If you come to airports like the mega hubs, you might start to see a huge demand for the lounges, especially after COVID.
I believe social media also had a huge impact in this demand.
The way people also value the lounge is a status. Whenever people keep seeing those TikTok posts, it creates a huge hype.
You find is there some friction between a lounge offering and restaurants trying to get their own customer base?
Great question, I hope you know, but
Good afternoon and welcome to the fifth podcast in the series that we are doing to celebrate 40 years since Emirates Airline took to the skies. I'm delighted to have Asli with me, who's going to introduce our next guest, formidable presence in the world of airport lounges. Asli.
Yes, we are thrilled to have Bora Isbulan into our podcast today. He is the Deputy CEO of Plaza Premium Group. He started right at the peak of 2020, COVID, and since then he's been spearheading the company's international expansion, digital transformation initiatives, and also the strategic launch of the strategic office in Saudi Arabia. He now oversees the global lounges and airport hotels, dining, concierge services, and basically all the things that make airports more enjoyable and less stressful. So welcome, Bora.
thank you. First of all, Aslı, beautiful introduction, and thanks a lot, Nick, to having me today in this fifth podcast.
Bora, you're one of the best networked gentlemen I know within the world of aviation. Have you always been, into this field? Can you tell us a little bit about your early sort of years and how you got into aviation?
Actually, although I have been in airport space or aviation space almost last 16, 17 years, Nick, my first profession was basically manufacturing, and I was producing garments for brands like Nike, Hugo Boss, Esprit, and I had a chance to live in different countries. I mean, I started my career in Republic of Moldova. Then I think they really love me, so they put me to Sri Lanka, which is a bit more advanced country.
Yeah.
And I was happy to live quite a long time in Sri Lanka. Estico candy. Then I moved to Cairo, Egypt. So I started to get a bit closer to Middle East. And so there was a part of my early career whereby I mainly, a part of a big supply chain of textile garment manufacturing, different countries, different people. And one time, I think, 16 years back, the TAV Airport CEO, who I know quite well because of we are coming from the same hometown, called me and he said, Bora, where are you? I said, I'm in Cairo, in Egypt. Said, please take the first flight. I want to see you, in my office in Istanbul the following day. I said, sir, it's a bit tough, Okay, he said, I'll give you 3-4 days. And that was an interesting moment, we exchanged a lot of thoughts, the aviation, and there was a time whereby the aviation is, picking up also in Turkey. And aviation, in terms of the gravity, was moving to east. And Istanbul was about to become the world, aviation center. And when I heard all these very enthusiastic, plans and goals, then I said, okay, let me take a break from my textile career and move to airport and aviation.
You witnessed the growth of lounge experience over the past few years. How was it back then and now? How did it evolve up until now?
When the lounges first started, it was part of the first or business class, package. Lounges used to be, quite spacious. But in terms of design, I think, it's a bit empty. It's not that colorful. It's not that innovative. It's basically something that to provide a space along with some certain, food and drink with a privacy to the first-time business class passengers before they take off. But 90s, I believe the airlines start to understand that that can be something part of their brand proposition, part of their marketing strategy, part of their competition in the market by offering the best in-class lounge experience. But again, the 90s are lounges basically mostly only for the airlines. Maybe some airports start also offer lounges, and part of the ground handling, a company's proposition, it became a very simple, quiet, and a common space for the airlines. Again, first-hand business, and I think the company which I'm working in last 6 years. And the founder, Mr. Song Hoi-si, is the pioneer. Because basically the gentleman saw a big opportunity. 80% of the aircraft is the economy class. And only 20% of the people are entitled to use a lounge. So it's a bit lost opportunity. And there was a great moment for the entrepreneur to identify a sustainable business. And he came up with the first independent lounge concept, which is basically open for everyone. Everyone could be, can be walk-in or day use, or, the banks start to explore, and I start to explore plus, I believe, to understand that travel benefits could be a quite important part of their proposition in order to stimulate the cross-border spend. And then I think that was the eureka moment for the independent lounges. And since then, each and every year we keep seeing, a big change in the lounge product, which we can deep dive a bit. But let me stop right now.
That's more and more. You're quite right. And I think the credit cards have had a massive part to play. I think it was originally American Express.
It started with American Express, yes.
I mean, interesting, I read something quite recently that is suggesting that some of these benefits may be curtailed. Getting access through the credit cards, the lounges have become a victim of their own success, because we're seeing now certainly if I go through, say, Heathrow, there's overcrowding, and maybe the sheen of exclusivity has come off.
Kind of a right statement. But in the meantime, of course, it's not the same across the globe, Nick. I mean, if you go to South America, for instance, I mean, the credit card penetration is only 5-6%.
Right.
So, and the banks still see that, off a lounge could be very compelling for the people to sign up a certain type of card. So, in South America, most of these big major airports, Rio, Sao Paulo, maybe Mexico City, Bogota, you start to see a lot of bank-branded lounges. So they want to kind of develop their own, lounge experience. And I think companies like us also becoming a go-to partner to help those banks to develop a end-to-end, travel benefit along with a lounge product. But if you come to airports like the mega hubs, Heathrow, Dubai, Hong Kong, you might start to see a huge, demand and need for the lounges, especially after COVID. We start to see the demand is picking up. And I should say we will see a huge demand for the lounges, but I think we're going to start to see a huge demand for the more premium services, which is sometimes I call home to gate. And I think that's the way the industry keeps changing.
Luxury is subjective. It means different things for different people.
Yes.
For me, it might be somewhere that's, peaceful and quiet, where I'm away. For others, it might be somewhere that is glass and marble, some like extra fast Wi-Fi. I'm really interested if you can try to give us a sort of regional sort of blend of what different customers or different guests in different parts of the world have preferences to? We can just sort of roughly sort of segregate, in general, what are the sort of the regional demands or regional perceptions of luxury in your business?
If I start from North America, for instance, the passengers in North America is basically looking for more on the efficiency and convenience. I mean, for them, the luxury is basically a fast check-in to the lounge, or a lounge which is closer to their boarding gate. A lounge whereby they can do a pre-check-in from a application. Something they can order food by just scanning a barcode, attached to the dining table. I mean, that's the way they see the, a bit luxury. But if you move a bit more Europe, I mean, it's basically, again, it's a very nice, very well designed lounge with maybe Italian leather, a bit of French pastry, some cold cuts, but a bit more elevated by art. If I move a bit to, Middle East, where we are, it's basically more on the space, privacy. This type of, environment which the people will be happy with their extended family also, along with more concierge type of, support. If I continue to go to a bit east, India is more on the color. Is again family oriented, but very colorful design. Very much, tea and live cooking, experience. Whereby they will cheer they cheer up this lounge experience, because in India still the people really care about lounge is a certain privilege. But if I go to, of course, Asia, where our brand basically is born, it's more on the, again, a bit quiet, privacy, along with the quality of the food, along with the details. I mean, in Asia, in China, in Japan, it might take, 5 minutes to serve a tea to you. So details are extremely important. So that's why in Asia, I should say it's more on the very peculiar in terms of the details. So I should say, of course, running a company in more than 40 countries, for us, what's also important, the standards.
Yeah.
And in terms of to maintain that standards and to become the household brand of this launch product, we try to also maintain, the PPGs, this Asian origin.
Yep.
In terms of the details, in terms of the close, engagement with our guests. But in the meantime, we try to reflect also 20-30% of our design, the destination, because we're also part of a city. We are part of an airport, and we have to reflect. This is also part of our overall look and feel.
That's really interesting, because my next question was, with all of these sort of nice cultural nuances, how do you standardize? Ultimately, it's a business.
Yeah.
You've really just answered that.
I mean, of course, not easy, because we try to be also different a bit than the airline lounges. I mean, if you go to airline lounges, you might see, very similar. An Emirates lounge might be in Dubai, could be very, similar in Brisbane, in Birmingham, in London, in New York. Basically, the airline lounge concept is more relying on depending on the standards. But in our case, I mean, while we care about the standards in terms of the engagement, in terms of the service level, in terms of the SOPs, in terms of the KPIs, we would like to be also integrated part of that destination, that culture, that food, these stories of that each city, each country, because at the end, before the traveler, before the passenger depart, actually we are the last destination, whereby we can reflect that food, we can reflect that, look and feel and the culture. Therefore, we have an ongoing program called Destination Before Departure, whereby we try to integrate ourselves to the local, values.
Along with these changes, how has guest expectations changed over time, especially when it comes to VIP services in lounges?
I think I mean, as said, 80% of the aircraft is basically economy class. So an economy class might be, a blend of leisure, blend of, business travel. So for these people, I think What changes mostly on the people are expecting a more personalized product, a personalized journey, something that, more bespoke. And you cannot, create this without the use of technology. That's why, the company which I'm working, probably in last 6 years, Plaza Premium, along with the rest of the, industry, keep investing a lot to technological changes. When you have a very tech, integrated infrastructure along with the customer interface, I believe a bespoke journey is possible. But in the meantime, as you rightly said, also there is a certain, category of the guests who are looking beyond the skies, who are looking, something more elegant,
Differentiate.
and they want to differentiate themselves from this, let's say,
Mainstream.
the mainstream lounge guest. So for them, what they are looking for still privacy. This privacy can be maintained as part of the terminals, part of the airport, current infrastructure. Or these days we are also exploring how we can work on the more VIP product through the VIP terminals. For instance, in Abu Dhabi, you might have seen the Diamond Lounge, whereby this Diamond Lounge is basically a landside in, airside out, type of infrastructure which the guest can enter the lounge without the hassle of any terminal building. They are not mixed up with the rest of the passengers. And it's a very personalized journey whereby after 5 minutes of check-in, they can go to the aircraft by the limousine waiting you at the runway. Similarly, we are exploring the same in Hong Kong, in Singapore, whereby it will create a more unique experience for the VIPs or CIPs. But in any terminal whereby we can find a space, we are also exploring to build Plaza Premium First lounges, which is a first-class lounge, which art, food, staff, along with the entire experience are created for the needs of the first-time business class passengers.
I believe social media also had a huge impact in this demand for more differentiated service, right? Because in the past, we wouldn't, like the mainstream wouldn't be able to observe what it's like in those differentiated, more luxury lounges. Now it's on everywhere on social media. People see this, so their expectations grow. So it's more sort of accessible on the screen, so probably more demanded on the ground as well.
Certainly, because the way people also value the lounge is a status. Is still, something that, they take it as a privilege. Therefore, whenever people keep seeing those TikTok posts or the Instagram, it creates a huge hype among the Gen Z, along with most of the people basically try to differentiate themselves from the crowd of the
use
airports.
These guys? Do you, as part of your marketing policy?
100%. We work with the celebrities, we work with the influencers, because it's basically the best way to communicate with the especially B2C channels, whereby the people can understand about what sort of different product and services they can face, they can get from the Plaza Premium experience. As a part of it, we start with the Beyond First type of a new project, which again, Home to Get, we try to provide services entire the journey in all these touch points. We have another initiative called Art of Travel, because travel is becoming, a quite interesting part of our life, whereby the people prefer to post their own experience during their trip, during their holidays. And if we can be part of that, post eventually, it's a great way of, explaining and engaging with the billions of, passengers.
I just want to take sort of, let's say luxury travel as a whole here, in terms of sort of airlines and kind of airport. Who do you think's doing it really well at the moment? And let's talk on the airlines side in terms of the sort of the business or the first class offering.
I think in our region, Nick, we have a handful of, quite big budget, along with, passionate airlines in terms of the experience and quality. So if you go to Doha, it might be a great, outstanding experience in the lounge in the Doha part of the Qatar Airways. Of course, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, I should say, they are quite passionate to give the best-in-class service under Emirates or Etihad, along with the, Falcon lounges in Bahrain. But quite recently, again in region, the Saudi Airlines, investing a lot to fully elevate and turn around their lounges. And I'm hoping that Riyadh Air, which we all are looking forward to, flying soon, will be also quite generous in terms of, allocating not only the financial resources, but attention and concentration to come up with the best-in-class launch experience. But across the globe, I should say, Qantas is one of the
In
nicest
terms
ones.
of the airline or the lounge?
The lounges.
In the airline.
Of course,
In terms of the airlines, who do you think?
airline-wise, I should say Qatar, Singapore, the Turkish Airlines lounge in Istanbul. Of course, the BA British in Heathrow. I should say my favorites. And I should also add one more because I have been spending, half of my time in Hong Kong. And the Catay's lounges are always, are best in class too.
Yeah. Do you find is there some friction between a lounge offering and restaurant, for example, restaurants, trying to get their own customer base? If you've got a good lounge and a good good percentage of the passengers accessing the lounge, doesn't that hurt the business of the restaurants?
This is a great question. I hope but none of the F&B operators ask you to ask this question to me.
Yeah.
But the idea, the part of the PPG portfolio, for instance, we have a big portfolio of, airport dining. We have more than 10 different brands all in-house. And the way we see the, airport dining and restaurants are also part of an alternative lounge experience. Because it's all about the dwell time. What you need when you fly from Dubai to Riyadh is completely different when you fly from Dubai to London. So if it's a short sector, it's a, short dwell time journey, you might prefer to go to a lounge by using your maybe a card. One of your bank cards, can give you an entitlement to redeem a cup of coffee, a croissant.
Okay.
So therefore, I always see a kind of overlapping, interesting relationship between the restaurants along with the lounges. But I don't see, and I don't think, it's a competition between a lounge and a restaurant, because those are basically different products. And there are different reasons to choose either of these two.
In certain lounges, especially through the credit cards, there is, I think, some overcrowding. And how do you retain that sort of level of exclusivity? And so maybe you can tell us some of the ways that you can see the industry further evolving, firstly in the short term, and maybe sort of a little bit more radically in the mid or longer term.
Find a short-term solution is basically the technology. We have been investing a lot to come up with the right queue management or capacity management type of, solution softwares. The other thing is a pre-booking, because we try to also encourage our guests to pre-book the lounge. Pre-booking is something whereby, I know how many guests will be coming in at what time. And the more I encourage the pre-booking, eventually, even for the people who might not have a space in my lounge, I might have a solution whereby we are, launching solutions like Lounge to Go. Again, in some certain, short sectors or hours, the people might only need a cup of coffee. They don't need a shower, they don't need a seat, they don't need to, go and consume a few plates of, buffet. They only need a croissant, they need a good coffee. For these people, for this type of guests, we try to also come up with this type of solutions whereby it helps us to mitigate these long queues. But that's enough, that's not enough. Of course, in the airports, these mega hubs, our aim is not only have a Plaza Premium lounge, but we want to have few lounges whereby we're going to offer more than one experience. A Plaza Premium first experience, an infinity experience, which is basically come along with a high-end, table serve a la carte, very personalized service, and our mainstream, products. So the way we would like to move on technology, alternative solutions, along with in the mega hubs, we run our business, not only one launch, but many.
Any sort of further more, like I said, a little bit more radical kind of changes to the lounge experience? And maybe I think, that one that I was less familiar with is the lounge when you're exiting arriving in your destination. So, I mean, and, is it, again, do you think there's going to be a demand for passengers to have a more bespoke travel experience? I don't want to say outside the airport, but outside the usual sort of running.
I mean, for the arrival, actually, we have experienced a bit about arrival products.
Yep.
As an independent launch, company, I believe the arrival product could be a bit hard to difficult to sell. However, an arrival product could be a good fit for the airlines needs.
Yeah.
Because eventually it might be a better solution for airline to offer an arrival lounge than an independent lounge operated like us. However, as you rightly touch base, a part of the home to gate or gate to home experience with the use of technology, we would like to offer our arriving guests a seamless journey from the duty-free, customs, fast track, chauffeur drive, all the way to their home, their hotel, to make this, journey more seamless, more faster, more hassle-free. Because I think also the mindset is different. When you depart, it's a different journey, different expectations, right? But when you arrive, you want to leave the airport as soon as you can. So the time and this smooth, transition from airport to city or outside is more a priority for the guest. Therefore, we want to offer something, to bridge that gap.
Look, I suppose I'll ask you on the personal side, just a little bit about you in your part-time. We found out you do a bit of travel writing, Ali Bora.
I used to do a bit more often. I mean, I used to write a lot of, different essays, different articles, mainly for food and travel. I took a break, but I want to go back and, continue with because I have so many handwritten notes. I think I have been more than 80 different countries. I don't know how many cities.
Yeah.
And I try to take a piece of note from after each travel. If I can kind of compile them in a book or so, I'll bring it to you too.
Fantastic. Well, please let us know. We'd love to see that. Bora, it's been a real pleasure, and thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
Like you said, I think your business sounds that it's thriving and it's here to stay. And once again, thank you so much.